Hello everybody, my name is Nomad, hope you're doing well and welcome to another Borderlands 3 build video, and today we are going over my Zero Compromise Iron Bear build. So my main Zero Compromise by the fact that this build fully focuses on Iron Bear and basically gives nothing for Moze. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are a lot of builds that focus on flexibility and versatility, which is great, but considering we have Purple Tree, which is all about Iron Bear uptime and Iron Bear damage and all those sorts of things, I figured why not just go all in on that mechanic, go all in on that specialization, and create a build that just fully focuses on Iron Bear for maximal duration, maximum uptime, and maximum damage. So that's what this build is going to be about. So without any further ado, let's just get straight into the video. So we're going to start off with the gear as we do for all the other builds, and as far as the weapons go, use whatever you want. There's really no specific weapons you need for this build because once again this build fully focuses on Iron Bear and not so much on Moze. But in saying that, when I say pick whatever weapon you want, there is some annoyance that you should keep an eye out for, and those are the while Iron Bear is active, gain increased damage for one of those specific hard points. And in this video, and for ones I recommend for this specific hard point setup, is the while Iron Bear is active, railgun damage is increased by 100%. Now, I don't need to explain why this is a good anointment. Railguns are already crazy powerful, and being able to buff them even more is just absolutely ridiculous, so I highly recommend getting yourself that anointment. For the gun, I'm just using a Boogeyman. It's a fun gun to use, came out with the Arms Race DLC, and yeah, if you want to grab one for yourself with that anoint, feel free. It's going to be a pain of a farm, but I will put in the save file in the description, so feel free to grab that if you're on PC. And if you're on console, feel free to jump on into my Discord. Once again, will be linked in the description. We do have a bit of a console player base in there too, so feel free to jump in and ask around. Maybe someone will have what you need. So with that out of the way, yeah, basically the TLDR of that, as far as the anoint goes, get yourself the while Iron Bear is active, railgun damage is increased by 100%. Now, that's the weapon out of the way, and we're going to go quickly the 4 gear pieces else that we're going to be using. Once again, to nobody's surprise, we're using Multivitamin Plus Ultra. Multivitamin prefix gives us extra health parts, which means we get extra maximum HP, which means Iron Bear gets increased armor. I've already explained this in multiple videos, so I'm not going to go into it in any more detail, but that's a general idea. As far as the anoints go, you can get one of two. Either the after exiting Iron Bear kills increase Iron Bear's cooldown rate by 30%, or the after exiting Iron Bear gains 75% increased shields and HP. Now, there is a bit of a caveat in that, in the fact that this anoint that I have on this Plus Ultra, the cooldown anoint, is basically redundant with the new Flame class mod, which came up with the Arms Race DLC. I'll get into that a little bit soon. But yeah, if you could choose one of the two, I'd prefer the Iron Bear after exiting Iron Bear gain increased health and shields, which I'll go and I'm going to go into that reasoning soon. So yeah, one of those two anoints will work well. So as a class mod, we have Rage Bear class mod. Once again, it's a bread and butter class mod for an Iron Bear build. Whenever Iron Bear kills an enemy, gets increased fuel usage. Whenever Iron Bear takes damage, gain increased damage. It's a no-brainer. As far as the secondary stats go, I recommend splash damage, cooldown rate, and grenade damage, or action skill damage. One of the two, either works. As far as the grenade goes, we're using a Spring Epicenter with the Iron Bear Spawn Anoint. We're going to go into the reason why this anoint is particularly useful for this build. But yeah, that's the general idea. Once again, grenade can be whatever you want, but ideally you want something with multiple impacts. So things like Spring Epicenter, Widowmaker, Cloning Madden Tracker, Radiation Hex, any of those grenades will work wonders. And as far as the relic goes, we have a Snowdrift Victory Rush. Once again, this is just to give Moze a bit of mobility. Iron Bear doesn't scale with any relics passive effects, so yeah, we just had this Snowdrift there just to help Moze move around a little bit faster when Iron Bear isn't active. So yeah, that's what we have. Now, moving away from the gear, we'll quickly go into the skill tree. So we'll just quickly start with the green tree. Once again, nothing too special. It's pretty standard for an Iron Bear build right now. We have Scorching RPMs, Specialist Bear, Darker Bear, and Stoke the Embers all have an impact on Iron Bear's damage, so there's no reason not to pick that. Moving on to the blue tree, we have 3 points in Deadlines, 2 points in Grizzled, and 5 points in Stainless Steel Bear. Now, the reason why we don't have that many points in Grizzled is just because, once again, we're going to be swapping to the Flame class mod when Iron Bear is down, and I'm going to quickly touch on the effect of the Flame class mod right now. So, Flame class mod is one of the DLC 5 class mods, and what it does is that whenever Moze ignites an enemy, she has a 15% chance to reset her action skill. So basically, whenever you set an enemy on fire, there's a very high chance that you can reset your action completely. So the idea of the build is this. run Iron Bear, kill everything on the planet, but if and when Iron Bear goes down or runs out of fuel, get out of Iron Bear or it'll automatically kick you out, swap to the Flame class mod, set an enemy on fire using any fire weapon, whether it be a low level sellout, Firestorm sniper rifle, whatever you want, choose whatever you pick your poison basically, as long as it's an incendiary splash weapon, it'll do the job. So yeah, just shoot an enemy a couple times, you have a chance to reset your action skill, and once Iron Bear gets back, you can just swap back to your Raging Bear and continue on your merry way. So that's the reason why this Flame class mod is so useful and why we're swapping to that to maximize Iron Bear uptime. And now we'll tie it quickly back into the reason why I mentioned the shield anoint after exiting Iron Bear, getting increased health and shield is good, because Iron Bear HP scales with Moses HP. If we have an anoint that can boost that maximum HP, it works really nicely, ties in well together. You exit Iron Bear, swap to your class mod, ignite an enemy, swap back to Raging Bear, get back into Iron Bear, and Iron Bear has even more health than you would have started with without that anointment. So that's the sort of gameplay loop there. Of course, you don't really need that anoint, it's just, you know, overkill essentially. In the background gameplay, I don't have that anoint, I'm just using the standard cooldown rate anointment, and it's doing fine. But yeah, once again, if you just want to go fully overkill, feel free to use that anoint. So that's those specific gear pieces out of the way, and we'll go back to the skill tree. So we covered green tree, we covered blue tree, and we'll quickly touch on Shield of Retribution. Basically, we just spec down towards to get capacitive armatures, which is a railgun anointment, hardpoint, sorry. So that's why we have that. And now we can touch on the purple tree, the Bear Mother tree, the new shiny Mose tree that we have. That's all about status effect and Iron Bear damage. So I haven't really done a breakdown of this build yet, so I'm just going to take some time to explain how everything works in here. So number one, we have Biofuel. Whenever Mose Iron Bear ignites an enemy, they both regenerate health for a short time. Now why is this important? Because we have our Spring Epicenter that does splash and therefore does incendiary damage as well, because it's a fire element, and that in itself, when it hits an enemy, can regen Iron Bear HP. So as you can see in the background gameplay, my health regenerates quite rapidly in Iron Bear, so it just works really nicely. We have really big guns, gets Iron Bear increased damage, no reason why not to pick it. We also have Explosive Fury. This just helps to boost our status effect damage and status effect chance, to sort of guarantee those incendiary procs, to make sure we get our flame uptime, and to make sure we're getting a biofuel uptime too. Moving on from that, we have Never Gonna Give You Up. Whenever Mose Iron Bear applies a status effect to an enemy, Iron Bear gains fuel, and this skill has diminishing returns. Now we don't really care about the diminishing returns, it just works really nicely, and combine that with Deadlines, which is the fuel consumption skill in Moses Demolition Womanry. Works very nicely. Moving on from that, we have Nitrogenanium Engines. Iron Bear gains increased maximum fuel and actual cooldown rate. I didn't need to explain why this skill is good for this build, so yeah, it's just very nice. Make sure you max that out. And then we have Feature Creep, the other skill that boosts Iron Bear damage in the Bear Mother tree. Gives Iron Bear an extra 18% damage and 45% damage resistance. Combine that with Security Bear from Moses Shield of Retribution tree, and we're getting an absolute crazy amount of damage reduction, which is just really nice to have. Make sure the Iron Bear stays up as long as possible, which means we can keep kicking ass. So yeah, that's basically the build in a nutshell. As always, if you guys have any questions, do let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to see builds like this and many other builds in action while I work on them and test them out, feel free to check me out on Twitch as well. I'll be putting a link to my Twitch channel in the description down below. And if you're new to the channel and you found this video useful, please consider subscribing too. So yeah, that's the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya!